Hey everyone, I'm Daniel,
I'm Elizabeth.
and we've got two little girls, Bella and Lexi. We're the Lancaster family, and we're going to talk to you today about where we are in our lives and what we're doing next.
Yep. Oh, how does it feel?
Now that we're 1 week away from me quitting my job and 2 weeks away from flying to Europe for a 3-month vacation. It's a little bit scary in some ways, but also exciting. I think the first step right now is getting over the idea that I'm quitting my job, which is something that I never thought I would be doing at 35, and kind of walking off into the unknown. How do you feel about it?
I don't know, I think I was really scared originally, and it's actually terrified me a lot. But I think the closer it gets, the more I like the idea.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I can't see it any other way. So I think it's great.
It feels like, without going through all the history of our lives, it feels like everything has come together to this moment in our personal lives, that even though this is a bit of a radical move on our part, it's also something that seems inevitable, almost like I don't have a choice in it, in a good way. That
I think you're the one who pressured me more into it, though.
Yeah.
But I think it's something you wanted for a long time. And I think I wanted that too, but it just, I don't know. I think it takes certain type of people and personality to do that, because I think people would look at us and think we're nuts.
There's something about having a job and knowing
I think it's just like cultural thing. Like, it's just people used to that, and when you say it out loud, I think people look at you skeptical. And
yeah, it's something like you don't even think about. I mean, ever since I graduated college back in 2011, I've had a steady job, different jobs, but steady, and you don't really ever even consider, my life is kind of set before me now. I'm in my groove, I'm in my rhythm, I've got a family of 4.
Yeah.
And
I think it's especially with kids. I think it's like maybe fine if you do it on your own or as a couple. But when you have kids, you have responsibilities. They have school, they have hobbies, and you
eventually sports, eventually pets. And for those who don't know, our oldest is about to turn 4. The youngest is 9 months.
Yeah.
So even though I haven't lived a full lifetime, I look and I suspect that this is probably one of the busiest times of our lives from the past, and speculatively for the future, because right now the kids are still young enough that they need us more than they will when they become teenagers, at least in a day-to-day type of way. So it's the busiest time of life, it seems. It's the most demanding time of life, and so that in itself as well, it's not like it's not like I'm just a single, or you're just a single person traveling the world, or even that we're just a couple without kids. It's a family of 4. And I think that's what also, to me, it's part of the reason why I'm doing this, and I think we're doing this, is that it shakes you out of your rhythm, out of your what you see as a normal life, I find myself actually dreaming more, not just even in daydreaming, even night dreams. I just find that I'm almost starting to reevaluate my life, where I thought that it was pretty much set for the next
It
25
kind of
years.
feels like a summer vacation after
Yeah.
school or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. The world looks like it's kind of a different tint, like a different color. Things look different when you step outside your rhythm,
Yeah.
and who knows where it will lead. I mean, maybe in the end, things go away we never even expected. Hopefully for the better, hopefully not for the worse. But I think regardless of which way this goes, we'll come out uh, stronger people with a greater perspective, having learned some valuable lessons, having met some interesting people, and we should talk about where we're actually going to go, because
Wait, and first we have to recap
yeah,
to how it's all started. Like, where's the idea come from and
yeah.
from the beginning. So I think you should.
Well, I've always loved travel. I mean, I've been traveling ever since I was a kid, but ever since I was old enough to travel on my own, I've been traveling the world. Due to the job, I didn't have much vacation time, so my times around the world were in short spurts. Where this idea came from, I think, probably sprung up about 3 years ago. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had just completed what's called the CFA program. I received a CFA charter. Stands for Chartered Financial Analyst. It's a financial credential. And we got a job. I got a job in Texas, which meant a move from Northwest Arkansas to the North Dallas-Fort Worth area. And I started making a lot more money, and that actually gave me the first step in starting to dream about what's really possible. And so we said, well, how could we do this? Because in the end, we could probably travel forever. We could probably just do that indefinitely.
Yeah. We'll see where that goes.
We thought
I
about
don't
it.
know.
But with little kids, it's hard to think how that would be, with them growing up and not having a steady place. I love the Bucket List family.
We don't know.
The Bucket List family is my inspiration. But
we don't know what.
yeah, we're testing the waters, I suppose you could say. So right now we're looking at doing a quarter, 3 months. 3 months is all we're allowed in the Schengen area, or Schengen, however you say that, of Europe, because we don't have a visa. So we're going to stay there for just under 90 days.
I think it's going to be a good run.
Yeah. Should we talk about where we're going?
Sure, yeah.
So just so everyone knows, we'll be flying to Rome, which we actually just came back from just a couple months ago, but we'll be flying back to Rome and spending a month in the city of Matera. If you're not familiar with Matera, you may have seen it in 007, No Time to Die.
And isn't it like one of the oldest cities?
I think it's one of the oldest cities in Italy. It's a white stone city.
Yeah.
And we'll be staying right in the old city. One thing, I'm just pausing there. One thing about this is we're trying to do some slow travel. So slow travel being, I want to go not for the purpose of being a tourist, not for the purpose of seeing everything I can possibly see. It's more to just get an idea of what's it like to live in a city that's completely different than my own. I especially love ancient things, ancient cities, love empires of old
Yeah.
and museums, and I love that sort of thing.
You like architecture.
I love architecture.
Yeah.
I love old churches. You don't have a lot of
Yeah, you know my
that
opinion on
kind
that.
of.
You know my opinion on that.
Yeah, in the U.S., we just don't have the same type of church buildings, I should say, the same type of quality of cathedrals and that sort of thing. So that's what I'm looking forward to, is just kind of simplifying a long vacation, taking morning walks or morning runs, walking down to the church in the morning, saying some prayers, going grocery shopping, shopping at the local farmers market, meeting other people, and just kind of going with the flow and seeing what happens if you just throw yourself out into normal life in a totally different place. Yeah. And from Matera, we'll be taking a ferry up to Dubrovnik, Croatia. Yeah, that's another beautiful city right on the coast. Most people are probably familiar with it. In the Old Town is where we'll be staying. Yeah. And then from there, we're flying to Athens, Greece, where we'll spend a few days. And
we've been there too.
We've been to Athens before.
What is it, 2018?
2018, yeah. Like I said, we love empires, so as you can probably tell, Rome, Greece, these are some of my favorite spots, and I think our favorite spots. So where we're going to be staying in Greece is actually the mountain of Delphi, where there's a temple of Apollo seated right at the top.
But we're not staying in Delphi, though.
We won't stay at Delphi. We'll actually stay in the city of Orahaba.
I think it's a village.
Yeah, you might call it a village.
Sure.
It's by no means anything like what you think of a city in the States. It's a village built on the mountainside.
Yeah.
Surrounded by mountains, looking out over the port of Corinth. Huge valley, just beautiful place. And so, yeah, each of those places.
Really into simple life.
Yeah, that's what I'm a big reader of Henry David Thoreau. I love the book Walden, Life Without Principle. There's a number of books that I'm a big reader, and so just trying to look at life and see what is it that is at the core that we're really living for. Is it to get up every day and do the same old thing just because we're safe, just because we don't have to guess, just because it's comfortable? That's okay for a time. It's okay even for the majority of the time. But in the hero's journey, as Joseph Conrad might say, there's always a call to adventure. There was a call to adventure in really every hero's story, starting with Abraham when he was called from his father's tent to a land he knew not where he was going.
I think we're more scared not to try it rather than try it.
Yeah. So. I'm more scared of having regrets in the end rather than just doing it and seeing where it leads. We can always rebuild. Life's not all about money. It's not all about material things. Those things come and go. But in the end, it's really about the adventure and letting that shape you, even if it's a bit uncomfortable. So in some ways, yeah, it is a very big, long vacation, 3 months in Europe. And could be longer. We talked about longer, but with kids, we're gonna kind of shorten that and say cross the Jordan River before we cross the Red Sea, so to speak. And so that's what we're planning to do. And we'll see where it takes us. We'll document ourselves along the way. And
it's going to be fun to look at it a year, 2 years, 3 years from now and see, what's changed since now and until then. Who knows?
No matter what happens, we're going to look back, I think, on this moment and realize it was a big turning point.
I think we'll learn something. Maybe a lot of things.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and just for some context from my job, having come out of 3 years now of being employed with my current employer for one more week, it's a great job. I've really learned a lot. It's been a huge growing experience for me. I can take that growth mindset, the things that I learned, and apply it in new ways on my own. But also, it's a very stressful job. I get up at 5 in the morning every day to attend to that job. And there's a lot to be said about taking your mornings back, taking your afternoons and evenings back. Doesn't mean I'm not going to work or don't like to work.
Yeah,
In
that's
fact, I love
another
to
thing
work.
I think we need to mention.
Yeah.
You're not just going on vacation, but you're also gonna keep working.
Yeah, I will keep working and doing my own thing. But there's no guarantee with it. It in itself is a risk because it's something I've got to build. So there is no clear path right now, but it has been well thought out. So there is a large element of faith, step of faith here. But if you don't try, you don't know. And we're giving ourselves an opportunity to see where life might lead, even though we've been doing the same thing really for the last 13 years, at least I have. We've been married 8 years almost.
Yeah.
And after 13 years of doing approximately the same thing in the financial sector, you typically would think, well, that's just what I'm going to do for the next 25 years of my life before I retire. But what this is doing is it's kind of shaking me out of my comfort zone, shaking me out of the person I thought I was. And I've talked about when I was in Rome, we actually went to the grave of Paul the Apostle. And if you've ever been there, there's a great cathedral built over the top of it and statues of Paul holding a sword. I didn't quite understand what the sword was about. I didn't do much reading up on it, but the only sword I can think of is the sword of the Spirit. And this does kind of feel like it's got that intensity, what we're doing right now. It feels this intensity like we're being changed, because I can feel what's going on inside. This is the interesting thing about it, is we knew we were going to be challenged and changed, but we didn't have, and I still don't hardly have a clue how it will affect me or how it will affect us, but it does kind of feel like a sharpness to it, like a sword almost plunging through your heart, just in a good way, in like the right way, that something old is being left behind, being maybe put to death even, so to speak, and something new is rising out of something old. So what that means, I know that's extremely vague, but I'm trying to put into words like how it feels to just quit your job and
Don't look back.
run off it. Yeah, don't look back. Run off into the wild blue yonder. And and then even when we come back, the idea is just to kind of be flexible. I mean, a random fellow I met a few weeks ago, I hadn't known him for more than an hour, and he invited us up to his place in Michigan. Really nice guy, a pastor actually, even from, I think he's a pastor. But yeah, stuff like that. When that kind of thing happens, like we get invited here or there, and let's just go where it takes us and see what happens. I mean, maybe the most that happens is we meet some new people, we get some new experiences, but you never know. It's just got this feeling about it that it's supposed to happen, and for us, and I know like there's nothing special about us more than anything else, and just, but I think it's probably applicable to anyone's life. There's these moments where they feel like they're turning points for you, and even though it may not be a big deal to anyone else, it's a big deal to the person living that life, and that's how we feel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when I got the tickets for the plane, and I remember when we pushed the button and I felt like my heart dropped.
That was the first thing that we bought that was non-refundable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we bought the Airbnbs, but we didn't actually buy them. We just booked them. But the plane tickets, that was before I.
That was like the first nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that was when we said, "Yeah, we're really doing this."
Yeah. Yeah, I think
it feels scary because, I mean, I know that all of our viewers are not in the same boat. We've got probably different people in different walks of life, but like for me, walking away from a steady job, that's it. At first I wasn't afraid, and I should say it's not exactly afraid, but it's like
it's unknown.
It's unknown, and that's the part that's a little bit uncomfortable. There's a plan. It's not gone without a plan. I have a plan, but the details, I'm a detail guy. I'm not a big vision guy most of the time. I'm a 5-wing 4 on the Enneagram. She's an 8-wing 7.
Yeah.
8s like to set visions, I think. 5s pay attention to the details.
Yeah.
So yeah, so not knowing the details, that's a challenge to me, walking away from that going, wow, well, the worst thing is we could fail.
But I feel like the more closer the time coming, the more I feel like fog is lifting up.
Yeah.
And we can see a little bit more, like maybe not like 100 feet ahead of us, but maybe 5 feet ahead of us.
Yeah.
So it's like getting more and more clearer.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think.
And because I have an almost 4-year-old daughter, I'm going to compare this to Anna in Frozen 2, where she says, do the next right thing. And that's kind of how it feels like. I feel like, yes, this is the thing we're doing, and I know it's the right thing, but I have no idea what step 2 is. I don't know. I'm just trusting that step 2 presents itself before I get to it.
But I think we did a few crazy things in our life before
that.
Starting with the way we end up together, and just not exactly always a normal thing what people do.
Yeah.
So I think
we don't exactly take the easy road.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with the easy road. I mean, we probably, who knows why we picked the tough road here, but
I think we like challenges.
Yeah, we like challenges, and we like anything that can transform us.
I mean, the worst case scenario, you always can come back and do like, the normal things everybody do.
Yeah.
So.
But not after having a year or a couple years or 4 or 5 years maybe of totally unconventional living. The idea that I have in mind is you don't want to spend your life earning a living just to go to work the next day and keep earning that living to continue existing. Work should be kind of a holy thing in the words of Thoreau. It should be something that is more than just drudgery. And understandably, there's jobs that need to be done, but there's also, in my mind, this way of life which seems like it's kind of under our noses, but doesn't present itself very clearly to us, because in the end, we're all so distracted with entertaining ourselves as much as possible before we have to go and do it all over again. And in the end, I think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and at the base are, of course, food, shelter, and clothing. Those basic needs, those are what people need. Those are the easiest things to provide, at least if that's all you're looking to provide for yourself. But then everything else besides that is kind of discretionary. We seem to have kind of lost the art of finding ways to enjoy life without actually going to something that's been planned out for us already, some sort of an organization or some sort of a group or a club, and all that stuff is great, but in the end I think back to, why do we do these things day in and day out and dream about these other things, dream about this other life that we don't have? Why, for example, do we put, crazy example, but why do we buy, let's just go to the furniture store and buy pillows with a picture of a seashell on it? Why do I put I don't know, a little statue of a seahorse on my bathroom counter? That's great, but why am I settling for the symbol of the thing rather than the thing itself? Why am I not? It just is the question. What's the core that makes life worth living? Not that it's seashells and seahorses, but what's the core that we're all living for? That's really what I'm searching for, and it's not movies and internet and Instagram and clubs and sports. Again, all great things, but it's not the core. And at least not for me. I don't know about anybody else. I get that there's different loves and different joys, different interests, but what is the core of life that we're all going for, and why do we settle for symbols? Why do we sit and watch movies of adventures rather than going out and having an adventure ourselves while we sit in our comfort zone, and we praise the hero while we're the coward in the end? So that's my question, I guess I'm going out to try to find the answer to.
Yeah. Well,
here we go.
I guess here we go.
We will keep everyone posted.
Updated, yeah.
Posted. The next step is last day of work is Friday. Today's Saturday, so I got 7 days, maybe 6.5, and we'll see how I feel then. It's all fun and games when you've got a steady income.
It's, what, 2 weeks until we leave?
And it's 2 weeks before we fly out.
So there's a lot to do.
That'll be an interesting.
And get ready.
Lot to do. Yeah,
well,
lot to plan for.
I guess here we go.
Here we go. Wish us luck, everyone.
Yep.